أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله الصلاة والسلام على رسول الله أما بعد. So we're here again, continuing our case study on debating with deviant cults or deviant cult members, specifically with the members of TMOA. But these can be used when dealing with anybody that's following some kind of deviant beliefs or that's from a cult. So we're going to jump right into it. So just for a little review, remember we have the 5 pillars or the 5 P's. You have to establish your principles, which is the Quran and Sunnah. You have to establish your purpose, which is why are we engaging. You want to talk about priority, that you want to talk about the most important things first. You want to establish proof. You want to help yourself and the person that you're engaged with to be people that work with proofs and not just your opinions and assumptions. And parlay. You always want to make sure that the engagement is 2 ways. The next thing, there's different methodologies of how to debate with or how to engage with cult members. The most effective way and the way that you want to really get used to dealing with cult members is with the Quran and the Sunnah. This way is undefeated, as the quote said in the beginning, that the Quran and Sunnah is undefeated. So you really want to stick with that as much as possible. You're also going to have to use common sense. You have to use your reasoning, your rationale to help debunk a lot of these things. But just remember, everything besides the Quran and Sunnah has weaknesses in it. And remember, we're talking about people that are indoctrinated into a cult. So when you get into common sense, when things apply to the cult, it's going to step outside the bounds of common sense. You could use Sufi sheikhs. You could use quotes and teachings from the Sufi sheikhs that these people accept. Just remember that when you're talking about Sufi sheikhs also make mistakes. So you can't use them as the authority on things. You have to go back to the Quran and the Sunnah. And in a context, you could actually use their cult leaders' own words against them, because a lot of people, specifically in the cult of TMOA, they actually don't know the teachings of their leader. For instance, Mubarak Jelani. You could use his own words against them and against yourself, specifically when you point out contradictions. And the next thing is just some things to keep in mind when you're giving dawah or when you're engaged with these people is you have to be patient. They're going to insult you. You're going to have to repeat things. There's going to be some things that you talk about that are clearly like common sense to you, but they just won't get it. You want to remain focused on certain topics. When you bring up a talking point or they bring up a talking point, focus on it and don't let them jump around. Remember, there's a position of leverage where you want to make sure that you're in a position paying attention to the power dynamics. Remember, you're representing the Quran and the Sunnah, and you have the higher position. You have the higher authority. Okay, so just keep that in mind. And also clarity. Be very clear and direct when you're dealing with these people. So if you remember, we're dealing with somebody that was reaching out to us or trying to set up an appointment to meet with the public faces of R2F and to order for them to lecture us. And they'll try various tactics. So one of the things he said was, you seem apprehensive and nervous about having a conversation. So this is where this person, you got to watch these tactics. You have to be very cognizant of it, as they're actually trying to pull a tactic of leverage by trying to say that you're afraid to talk to me, you're afraid to engage, when in fact I was already engaging with the person, when in fact that we were trying to engage with the person and can have a continued engagement. But then they review their true colors and how they're actually afraid to actually get into this ring or this realm of having an actual productive conversation, because then he continued to say stuff like, there will not be any cameras, no videos, no nothing. So these people are afraid to be on the record of saying anything, because they really want to work behind the scenes, and specifically with the cult of TMOA, they know that if they're actually on record of debating with or in actually engaging with us at all, that they're going to receive consequences on their end, right? That they're going to get punished, maybe kicked out or whatever, for actually talking to us. He also said, I will only listen to you about the topics I want to discuss. And then he also said, if I come up there, I'm not going to field a bunch of questions. So it's very interesting that they really show that they're afraid of actually engaging and having a full dialogue about the issues with their actual cult. So along that theme, always call their bluffs. I mean, I don't say always, but there's times when it's beneficial to call them on their crap, right? I have a bad habit personally of like letting people just, I call it letting them live, right? You realize they just said some bull crap. You realize they just made some false statement. And I'll just let them go on and keep on going. But the danger of that is when you let them say anything and you let them live, quote unquote, they actually take, oh, I got away with saying that, so I'm going to take it as truth. So it helps to know when to call their bluff. So like, if, for instance, with this individual, when he was asked, we said, we will listen to you. Will you listen to us? Is that fair? And then he responded with, yes, that's fair. But then after he realized what he just said, he said, but I'll write a letter and you can read it, and you can read it on your show. Which, when you say, these lines like this, he wants us to read his letter on the show. This is like clout chasing. This is clout chasing. He wants his letter to be read on the show. What does our R2F show have to do with our dialogue? Like, why do you want your letter read on our show? When you want us, if you want to give dawah to us, if you want to correct us for our mistakes, why can't we do it privately? Why can't we have a direct conversation privately? He wants his letter read on our show. So if he writes a letter, we'll see. What will happen is, this is what happens usually in this case. We'll see if it happens with this individual, because this is a very recent conversation. We'll see if they actually do write the letter, because if he does it correctly, he'll write a letter, and hopefully he does the research into if he actually provides Quran and Hadith to support whatever he's saying. And if he does the proper research, he'll actually find out that, oh wait, you know what, I might be wrong. This position I have might not be as strong as I thought it was, and they actually back out and actually never write the letter, actually never engage, and they just kind of disappear. But we'll see if this individual does that. We asked for a continued dialogue and for him to put his conditions in writing. Because remember the 5 pillars, the things that you want to establish. This was an impromptu conversation. So we were not able to establish these 5 pillars, the 5 P's, before the engagement. So throughout the conversation, I was trying to establish these 5 P's. But even when we asked him to put his conditions in writing, and that we will still have a dialogue, and pretty much said that we'll do anything you want, just put it in writing so we know what you want, he still refused. And this is an interesting one. This is where we really called him out on, him, not really being, he might not realize, not really being sincere, appearing not to be sincere. Because Allah knows best if he's actually sincere or not. So he says, because of y'all platform, people won't come. People will come on another platform. So he went to this whole thing about how our platform, our YouTube channel, our show is all about inciting violence. It's all about slander and all these different things. And that's why nobody from TMOA, nobody from the cult will actually come on our show. Which we told him straight up when he was saying that. We were like, that's not the reason. That's not the reason, and then he said, people will come on another platform. And then, I said, no, they won't. And he said, yes, they will. And he said, I will come on another platform. And I said, no, you won't. You won't come on another platform and speak about in defense of TMOA. No, you won't. And he says, yes, I will. So then we gave him a direct challenge and said, okay, if what we will do for you is we will help you create your own platform. We will create your own YouTube channel, set you up to do your own show, help you do your own videos so that you can provide your perspective or your defense of TMOA, right? Will you do it? And then he was like, there's no need for that. All of a sudden now there's no need to provide this other balanced approach or this other perspective or to defend TMOA, because we called him on his bluff, put them out there. And what you have, like, the whole engagement when you're engaging with these people is to try as many opportunities as possible to get them to think. And the thinking might not happen right there in that conversation. When it's going to happen, hopefully, inshallah, is that when they actually go home and start replaying the different things that went on during your engagement, that they'll think. So hopefully when he goes home, when he's laying in bed at night, when he's sweeping the floor, whatever, He's thinking like, wait a minute, these guys offered to actually help me create my own platform to defend TMOA, and I still wouldn't do it. Why? Something's wrong there, you know. So again, I'm gonna keep these videos a little bit shorter, just so you can find the information in the future. So I'm gonna try to keep them around 10 minutes. So I'm gonna stop here, and then I'll create another video after that.